welcome to our third application case study of the afternoon. This is Mr. Gordon Castle with Eurosport. This is a pretty significant operation that they've implemented and are in the process of moving forward with. So I'm really excited to hear a lot more details about it. Take it away, Gordon.
Great, thanks. Yeah, this is what we're in the process of implementing. So part of this is to give you guys a little bit of knowledge about what we're doing. There's also a little bit of this that is an appeal for help, because we're boldly going fully into IP, and we're running into some challenges. So I'll talk a little bit about where we're running into challenges too. And some of the people that are faced with the challenges are in the audience. So, but anyway, so Eurosport Technology Transformation is actually the largest technology project going on inside of Discovery right now. And we've gotten this kind of banner that we've called as building a private cloud for live production. And so in Discovery, overall, we have hundreds of channels running in the public cloud today. So channels that we call our factual channels, channels that have pre-recorded content, are all running in the, not all of them, but almost all of them today run in the public cloud today. When we go to live production, this is you can think of this as the Discovery's second platform for production. When we go for live production, the area Eurosport, where I focus, the public cloud can't yet do the throughput needed for live, truly live. And so we're taking a private cloud approach, and I hope you'll see that we're taking an approach that allows us to evolve to a completely cloud-based model over time. The challenge that we were faced with was an aging infrastructure. The bottom line was limited ability to change, and so every time somebody came up with a good idea, we had to spend a lot of money, get a lot of people in a room, plan out something else, add a bit of kit on top of that. Inside of our main operations center in Paris today, there are 100 SDI routers. And the reason there's 100 SDI routers is people have come up with interesting ideas to do more content distribution, and we added another one on top. And so now we're in a place where it's really complicated, it's really hard to change. There's over 70 channels, 21 languages today. And bottom line was it wasn't supporting our digital business very effectively either. So the whole business case for this is, if we can implement a new technology stack, we can dynamically change the business, a common content platform, lowering the cost for new services, and faster time to market. And from a technology perspective, we're all in on IP, and we're not in IP because we think it's cool. Probably the wrong room to say that in. We were in IP because it's the only way we can actually get the scale we need without having hundreds of video routers, right? There's tens of thousands of video and audio flows going on, and will be going on here. But we want to leverage the cloud stack when we can. We want to leverage IT-based models when we can. Common MAM and storage are sort of cornerstones of this. Fully remote production, so we want to support our event production using a remote production, but even our traditional control rooms are taking a remote production approach. Moving to event-based production and then using resource management. So we're going to use resource management to dynamically schedule the utilization of assets, and so we can use those more effectively. Bottom line is we want to be able to provide what we need dynamically. So our brand promise, for example, to our digital properties are any content you want with any language at any time, right? Just instantly tell us what you want, you can have it. If it exists, you can have it. And that today is super hard to do. And so that's really where we're headed. This is a slide we actually used in the business case, and all of our business returns are tied to these three statements, right? Evolution of live production. This is about remote production. This is about agility and flexibility of the technical assets, the physical things producing television. Digital and linear growth. This is common access to content. So this is central content stores that we can utilize to get content to anybody who needs it instantly. And then in business case, there's two big parts of this. It's cost avoidance. So when somebody thinks of a new idea, we want to make it cheaper to do than it would have been in the past. That's cost avoidance. And then direct savings. So we actually have some direct savings through this. The business case is about half and half of that. But this project actually is, like I said, it's the largest project we have going in Discovery. It pays for itself actually really, really quickly through the business return. In terms of that separation, so we have essentially two technology hubs. These are actually data centers. They're not a traditional gear room. They're data centers. And that's where we're putting all of the actual media processing. So the IP world, the 2110 world, flows in these blue areas. The green areas are where people sit to operate. And the point is, we want the flexibility to put them wherever we want to put them. So today we have about 30 control rooms spread around Europe. We'd like to add more. We'd like to be completely dynamic and flexible in how we utilize those. And so we want to put them wherever we want to put them, so we provided a separation here. So no longer do you have to have the back end of the switcher in the same place as the control panel. These are essentially monitors and control panels sitting wherever we want, and as long as we're on the network, we can connect them into either hub, and that provides that kind of remote production for everything, okay? So what are the technology principles around this? So cloud approach for physical kit. Now, I'll give you a couple slides just to show you a little bit more about that. But that's really saying even kit that's physical, a switcher, a vision mixer, an audio console, an instant replay device, we want to take a cloud approach to how we manage it and how we deploy it. And that's one of the challenge areas we have. Common use to all content, so that's the common access to content, supporting digital growth. IP because of scale, and I think we're way over the 40,000 video flows already, but that's where we thought we would be, and I think we're way over that already. Up 32 discrete audio pairs, and we're wanting to treat the audio as discrete IP streams, not so we create a list of words you're not supposed to say. You're not supposed to say mapping and swapping and normalization and right, and because those are principles we've used forever in the industry, and the flexibility we want, they just become impossible to figure out how you'd ever normalize anything, right? And remote production from simple to complex. But a lot of challenges, and so this is where I'm going to start getting into a little bit of my plea to this audience for how do we solve this really. The support for 2110 is evolving. We do think we're going to succeed in getting the majority of the interfaces using NMOS 05, for example. We think that'll work. We'll have the 2110 flows going around through the hubs. So, we think things like that are starting to work, but overall, it's kind of our observation that the industry has taken too much of an IP-based approach and not enough of an IT, okay? And we're continuing to want to solve problems in kind of a broadcast-specific way, right? So how do we manage and deploy these things? How do we configure equipment? Becomes more of a broadcast way of doing it instead of the way an IT system would do it, right? And that's a challenge for us, right? There's no best practices yet for how you manage a system, right? Well, we've asked all kinds of people around. How do you manage the configurations of these systems? How do you really manage when something comes in and off of the system? How do you really do that? NMOS 04 gives us a glimpse of hope, but it's not the full picture, right? So how do you really do this? And we haven't yet found anybody that's saying, oh, these guys did it exactly right. We said, well, they got in the project, they made some decisions, and then they picked a way to go because they had a deadline. And they all say, this is not the way you should do it, but this is the way we've done it, right? And that's a bit scary, right? In terms of this, how we manage this kit, this is the one area where I think we're doing something completely different for other ones done. This cloud-based management of physical kit. Is a mental exercise and then becomes a very, very deep technical exercise to do it. We haven't seen anybody else do it this way yet, but everybody we've talked to thinks, oh, this is exactly the way you should build facilities in the future. So that's interesting, but it's certainly a very new way to do it. And then, of course, the industry consolidation and vendor movement, declining margins and things like that has made it very hard for the vendor community, I think, to advance these things at the pace we really need, right? So in terms of where we think the evolution of this and the live production, this is a live production space. I think if you were to talk about, just the channel replay of our factual channels, we're all the way over here right now as an industry. But for live production, if you want to do live sports, most people are still right here, right? Dedicated hardware on premise, in the truck, in the production facility. That's where the majority of the industry is. Starting to see some things in virtualized machines. We're going here with the shared hardware approach, and we hope we get there. So I got the question a couple days ago, when will that happen? And I think the next cycle that would happen. So if it's a 10-year cycle, I think in the next cycle, it'll all be there. And if you were at a small scale today, you could be there you could be more there. If you wanted to have a very simple vision mixing and things like that, audio control, some of that could already be there. But at the scale we want to operate, we can't do it yet, right? But we are having this. So here's the infrastructure we have. We have our business systems and our sort of orchestrational components are in the public cloud today. So that we're running those in the public cloud today. Our rights management system, resource scheduling, things like that, those are running in the public cloud. Our media asset management and our editing is going to run in virtual machines. So we're starting to virtualize that a bit, but that's part of the private cloud. So it's not a public cloud version, it's a private cloud version. And then we're taking video switchers, instant replays, audio console, graphics devices, and we're treating them as if they were a VM, okay? So they're not, they're physical boxes, but we're even starting to subdivide those physical boxes up. So a crate that is a vision mixer, we're going to divide it up by mix effects, and we're going to assign mix effects to rooms. And so that gives us this kind of ability to, as we need, we can populate different types of rooms. So these 30 rooms across, we have different levels. We can have levels 2s and level 3s. They all have different amounts of kit, and we can then deploy that kit, okay, as needed. Now, for us, this can be really great when we get to this, right? You know, because we can suddenly say we can utilize that technical infrastructure really flexibly. In the past, every room had to be built to the maximum production level that you needed someday in the future. So for us, everything would have to be built to Olympic level standards and capability, even though some days it was doing very, very simple production, right? And at the scale, that's expensive. So this is part of our way to get flexibility. So then the real challenge comes to this, right? I love this picture, right? So this is out of the JTNM 1001, right? Picture. It's beautiful, right? It's really nice. It says, oh, look, you just got this control layer, you got these media nodes, you got these 2 networks, you got these devices, you're using some IT names, DHCP and DNS, and you got this O4 thing over here. Really nice and clean, okay? So I just recently had an exercise, took this picture, and then I put this picture next to it. So this is us. We have a resource scheduling system. We have a service provisioning layer. This is actually provisioning the equipment. We have a broadcast control. We have network orchestration. We do have an NMOS R4 registry. We have a system integrator who's create configuration files that are super complex that tell all these things what they're going to do on day 1, right? We've got system monitoring, and we've got the actual kit out here. But there's a whole bunch of configuration files, right? And we want this thing to dynamically change all the time. So how do we keep this in, how do we really manage this? How do we make this feel like an IT system? How do we evolve it? How do we really use the O4 registry, right? And I put this group together and I said, well, we have this thing. What's this thing going to do for us? And they said, well, it'll do some kind of cool things in terms of I won't tell something to I won't tell something to connect if I don't think it's on. Well, it's useful, but I don't know how to solve the overall problem, right? And so I really think as an industry, we've got to say, this is not a problem that the IT industry hasn't faced, right? IT systems used to be, they used to have configuration things that configured equipment and things like that. And now you have provisioning systems, and you have orchestration systems, and you have cloud deployment engines, and you have all these things that exist in the IT industry, right? And they don't understand what a video switcher is either, right? So there's something missing in there. But the more we could take an IT approach to solving this problem, I think the better off as an industry will be, because that's the thing that makes this go faster, right? And so that's my kind of plea and challenge to the group. If somebody thinks they've got a really great solution for that, we're in the middle of trying to figure this out. And we're going to do what everybody else has done. We're going to solve it. We're going to get it working. And we're going to do it in a way that we don't think is the right long-term way. And day 1, we're going to be fine. And on day 2, we're going to be scared, right? And so that's what we've got to figure out. How do we evolve this, really, right? So overall, look, we think we should, we're fully in support of these standards. We think the NMOS and the JTM stuff are great models. We should definitely leverage them. We're supportive of this things. We want to actually, if I had the luxury of more time, I would create more and more public views of this and try to get people to pull it together. We're in the mode where the Olympics are coming, right? So we have to have all of this launched and ready. And that's sort of a career enabling or limiting move for me to have it working. And, so So that our talk is clicking, but we need to solve this as an industry. This is definitely an industry problem. These best practices for system management and things like that need to be evolved, and we need to take more of an IT and cloud approach. So we need to look at ways that we can leverage things that exist in the IT or cloud space to help solve these problems, right? Not go off and say, well, they don't understand broadcast, so we need to do it in a broadcast-specific way. That's what we really don't need to do, I don't think. Last slide is really just where we're at. We're building out the hubs. They're actively being built right now. First parts of them are actually online. We'll launch our new ingest and playout centers over the course of the next few months, transition our production control rooms, and then support the Olympics with this. So this is very much, we will ship a fraction of the kit that we shipped to Korea in 2018, just a small fraction, the same amount of equipment gets shipped to Tokyo. So we are fully dependent on this working for our coverage. And so that's what we're doing. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. Hopefully. Anybody got a question?
Okay, are there any questions for Gordon? So taking a look at some of the things you're doing, one of the things I noticed was that you said your orchestrations in the public cloud, or your reservation systems, your scheduling, things like that, and then everything else was private cloud or more. Was that done strategically? Was that done from technical reality in that you couldn't push the stuff in the public cloud, or was it done for a security standpoint or something?
No,
like that?
everything we could put to the public cloud, we think is more secure and more scalable than anything we could build ourselves. So it's limitation what we can do. We just can't, so the resource application, the resource management, some of the orchestration things will run in the cloud today.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anything that can run in the cloud, we run in the cloud. And in theory, we could start to do some of the editing in the cloud today.
Mm-hmm.
The problem for us is the speed, the throughput speed. So, because we need to, we're in competition with other broadcasters for these live sports. We don't always have the exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
So we need this live sport to go straight through as fast as possible. And so just once you get it into the cloud, then you can do all these interesting things. But we still have to then come back out of the cloud for distribution to the affiliates. So for right now, we need to keep that in the baseband world. And so that's why we're doing a private cloud-based approach for edit. But that's one player you could go more to the public cloud. But then, again, for complex switching and audio mixing, I don't know of any solution that would run in the public cloud today for complex.
Here we go.
Just a quick timing and logistics question. From the time you started planning this and wanting to see the end result to where you are now, is it working out on schedule, or
No,
do you?
is anything on schedule?
But what's the ultimate end goal to have your final slide realized?
Well, the bulk of the ETT platform needs to be operational before the Olympics, and so, the launch of this stuff happens in the first part of next year. The front entrance and the PCRs. We essentially, I gave a talk at SVG, and the date I gave, it said, basically this is May next year right here, and that's when we want to lock everything down, and we don't want to make any other changes. And that gives us a couple months for things to become really business as usual before the games. So that's the goal. The goal is, we have till now until the sort of 20th of May or something like that to finish getting everything built. Now, we won't finish everything of ETT by that point, but we will get by far the majority of it. All the core infrastructure, ingest, playout, the majority of the control rooms get done. There's a few markets that get done after the Olympics, but the majority of it's done.
Okay.
We hope.
Any other questions? Yeah, hold on.
What total bandwidth are you expecting to have available to you from your tech hubs to Tokyo?
Oh God, that's a really good question. I don't remember what that is. I can follow up with you if you want. So the compression so we are using J2K compression on those. In between the hubs, we're going to use XS and uncompressed, and into the operating centers it's XS. But I think we're bringing back, I think it's 130 streams, something like that, of content. And then then we're still debating on how much of the 4K will come back live versus delayed. So. Sorry, but if you want me to follow me afterwards, I can follow up with you. But
Okay, could you give us an idea of the scale of the production you're going to be doing in Tokyo? How many hours of production? Do you have any feel for that?
we're doing every event in almost every 21 languages. So so we have Eurosport has the rights for all of Europe for every platform for the Olympics, but we also resell them. So it depends on market to market, which we do. So, but it's there were stats from last time, and but I wish I remembered what they were, but we did every minute of every event was distributed on a Eurosport system for last time, and then we'll do the same thing here. We'll do every minute of every event. This is about 3 times bigger in terms of the number of hours than Winter Games. But every event in every language is on some sort of Eurosport platform.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Oh, one last question. Do you see any issue with Tokyo doing a lot of stuff in 8K? Are you going to be absorbing those streams? Are you going to be down converting them? Are you going to be...
So we're taking the HD and the 4K streams, and there is some potential of using some of the 8K, but it would be kind of venue-based, sort of experience-based, not distribution-based. So, but that I don't know where we're at actually on that. That's the whole licensing group that's doing that. But there has been some talk of doing some of that.
So you might transport some 8K to like a large public venue or something like that?
Yeah,
I got it.
But that I don't know where we're at on that. So don't
Sure, yeah.
no quoting on any of that because I don't know where we're at on that. And so
Gordon Castle commits to 8K coverage.
I don't commit to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We
Thanks a lot.
appreciate it.